Friends, and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Excuse me. So we're starting part 3 of this book today. And part 3 says how to win people to your way of thinking. So we're going to be reviewing chapter 1 of part 3. And that is titled, You Can't Win an Argument. Right. Have you ever heard this before? You cannot win an argument. There are so many people who like to argue, but the author is telling us you can't win it. Even when you think that you have won the argument, you have actually not won it. And we're going to understand why he said so. Right. Starting with a story of how he used to work for a man named Cyrus Smith. Right. And after the close of World War One, this man did some amazing things, achieved some, great feats and all of that. And he decided to be honored at a dinner. While they were at the dinner, Dale Carnegie, the author, was sitting down with a man. And in the course of their conversation, this man told him a humorous story which denoted the quotation that says there is a divinity that shapes our ends and that it rough hews them how we will. And this man was arguing that this quote is from the Bible. But the author knew clearly that it wasn't from the Bible, that it was from Shakespeare. So he decided to argue with this man. No, it's from the Bible. No, it's not from the Bible. They were arguing back and forth, right? And all of a sudden, Dale Carnegie realized that his friend, Gammond, was very good with Shakespeare's stories and books and novels. And then he asked him, he and the person he was arguing with decided to ask Gammond, for the right answer. And Gammond, being Dale's friend, quickly touched him under the table, as in kicked his legs under the table, and pointed that yes, it's from the Bible, supporting the other man. Of course, they would have been shocked that, what are you talking about? This is not from the Bible. So when they were going home, they decided to ask that, why did you say that quotation is from the Bible? You know clearly that it's from Shakespeare, right? And he said, yes, of course I know that it's from Shakespeare, but what is your point arguing with a stranger? We've been invited to a dinner. It's a festive gathering. So why would you want to turn it into an argument? And of course, what would you gain? Allow this man to save face. There is nothing that he can say. His mind is already made up that quotation is from the Bible. So you're only wasting your time and your energy trying to argue with him. Because when most people argue, their minds are already made up, right? They already know what they want to say, and it doesn't matter what. Some of them would even realize in the course of the argument that they are wrong. But as human beings, we want to be defensive. We want to prove a point. We just want to the argument to end in our favor. So he said to him, always avoid the acute angle, as in always avoid a sharp situation, a situation that puts you in a contentious manner and all of that. It is of no point. Allow this man to feel his ego very well, to feel important and to save face. There is no point embarrassing him. Right. So that was how the situation died down. So he learned a very big lesson that night, because he himself liked to argue. He would argue with his brother. He grew up arguing, attending debates here and there. So it was something that he found to be enjoyable, but he learned a great lesson. And he said, as a result of this, I have come to the conclusion that there is only one way under high heaven to get the best of an argument. And that way is to avoid it. Avoid it altogether. There is no point starting it. Thinking about it, I don't think I remember any arguments that ended well with one party succumbing to another. Okay, that's, oh, yeah, you are right. I agree with you. Most people will want to argue their point to the very last. Nobody will win and nobody would lose, right? Each person holding onto his own opinion. In the case of this man that was arguing about the quotation, his friend told him, Gammond, he didn't even need your opinion. He didn't ask for your opinion. He was just expressing himself. So sometimes we just have to allow people to keep holding on to their opinion, especially when we have observe that they are not even going to budge a bit. So avoid an argument. Avoid it as you would avoid rattlesnakes or earthquakes. Right. Nine times out of 10, an argument ends with each of the contestants more firmly convinced than ever that he is absolutely right. So you can't win an argument, because even when you think that if you lose it, you lose it. But even when you think that you have won it, it is actually not a win for you, because you triumph over the other person. You make the other person feel stupid, right? You have your feel of triumph. But in the real sense of victory, it is not victory, because the other person is there feeling bad, feeling like a dummy, feeling like what's the word here? Like a non-composed mentees, as in, he's stupid, he's not so smart, right? So then what? You feel fine. But what about him? What about the other person? You have made him feel inferior. You have hurt his pride. He will resent you. He will resent your victory. That win that you think that you have, he will resent it. So at what point, if you look at it, it is not actually a win. It is not victory or triumph in the real sense of it. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Even if you think that you have won it, the man is still holding on to his own opinion. He will still find a way to justify it, that no, he is right in every way. There is the story of a man here, Mr. Patrick. Mr. Patrick was interested in selling scrap and selling trucks, but he never made any sale. And when he came to Dale Carnegie, he said, oh, I've been trying to sell. I've never made any sale. I've been trying without any success. And the author tried to diagnose his problem. What could be the matter? And he discovered that anytime somebody had an objection about this man's business, Mr. Patrick will go way and beyond to defend himself. You cannot say anything derogatory about the trucks that he was selling. With all the strands of hair on his body would arise, and he will argue and he will fight and everything. So the first thing the author tried to do was not to train him, on what to say, but to train him to refrain himself from talking and to avoid verbal fights. So this man went ahead to become a star salesman for the White Motor Company in New York. And how did he do it? After learning this great lesson that don't try to win an argument. In fact, you cannot win an argument. So all the sales that he tried to make after then, if he goes to somebody, for example, to market his own trucks, and the person says, oh, person mentions another truck company, who's its truck, and the person says, oh, who's truck is good, is better than your own. He wouldn't argue. He would just say, oh, yes, it is actually better, and if you buy it, you will never make a mistake. They make some of the best trucks in this country and all of that. He would even defend those other trucks. So once he has said, oh yeah, it is good, the company is good, they make good trucks, what else will the other person say? Nothing, because you have agreed with him, right? So now you have closed the case. You are not arguing that the other company is not producing good trucks, right? So once you agreed with the person and the person has calmed down, he has seen that yes, you agree that Wooz It also make good trucks. You've calmed down. We will now start talking about the good points of his own trucks. This way you are calm. You now start highlighting the good. He's not arguing with you. He's not countering the fact that the other truck is good as well. But you now start highlighting the good part of his own truck, makes you see why you should buy his own. And that way he was able to make so many sales. Before then, he was winning arguments. He was not making sales, right? Are you in business to win arguments? Are you in business to contend with people, to fight them and all of that? Or you are there to make money? You need to recognize your priority, right? So always know what you want. There is no point. As wise old Ben Franklin used to say, if you argue and rankle and contradict, you may achieve a victory sometimes, but it will be an empty victory because you will never get your opponent's goodwill. And what do you want in life? Do you want an academic, theatrical victory, or you want a person's goodwill? You want a good relationship. You want the person to bond with you, to be a good friend, right? Especially when you have seen that, oh, this person will be instrumental to me in one way or the other, or we should have a lasting relationship. Don't allow an argument to spoil it. If they stand on their point, let it be. It doesn't change anything about you. It doesn't make you stupid, right? Rather, it shows that you are wise and you consider your relationship more than whatever it is you are trying to push to this person. And the Boston transcript once printed this, which says, "Here lies the body of William J., who died maintaining his right of way. He was right, dead right, as he sped along, but it's just as dead as if he were wrong." If you are in Nigeria, sometimes you may have seen a situation on the road where two cars are facing each other. There is space, but they are all arguing for the right of way. No, this is my way. No, this is my way. And what happens? Both of them will stay there, causing traffic. Instead of one person to just succumb and swerve and go his way, no, they will both stay there. None of them will want to shift ground for the other, right? And at the end of the day, they will be there. They may miss their appointments. They don't care, because that stubbornness will get in the way. And the more they stay there, the more they argued, the more their ego rises. That, no, I'm not going to give it to you. Do you know who I am? I'm not going to leave here today. So they will resolve in their mind that they will rather lose that contract they are going for. They will rather get home late. They will rather waste their time here. But they are not going to succumb, right? So everybody is claiming rights. But at the end of the day, of what good is it to you? That is what you should ask yourself. And then until some people come and start saying, okay, please, sir, you move, please, sir, you know, let us avoid getting to this part. Or some people will have accidents while they are trying to maintain the right of way. You want to be right, but you are right and you find yourself in the hospital, or you find yourself on the other side of life. The longer we argued, the more stubborn okay, there's a story here of a tax consultant who was arguing with a government tax inspector. The tax consultant said that, oh, he's not going to pay this $9,000, that it is bad debt. The government tax inspector was saying, no, it is not bad debt, you have to pay it, we're not going to write it off. So this man, in the middle of the argument, Mr. Frederick, the tax consultant, just remembered some of the principles we have been learning in this book, and he decided to appreciate the tax inspector, to say, oh, actually, I think this is a very petty matter in comparison with what is really important and difficult decisions, right? You know, I respect you. You have studied taxation. I've studied it too, but I learned my own through the books. But you are learning your own through real life experiences. It decided to hype him, to make him feel important. And the moment he said this tax inspector who had been stubbornly arguing, you know, decided to lean forward, and he started talking about his experience, how people would defraud them and things. So the conversation shifted. At the end of the day, he said he would consider the matter. And 3 days later, he called Mr. Frederick to say, you know what, I've decided to cancel that tax. It is truly a bad debt, right? Look at the power of appreciation, the power of agreeing with the other person. Why do you think this happened? Because the moment Mr. Frederick decided to appreciate this tax inspector, the tax inspector got the sense of importance that he wanted. That was what John Dewey said, that one of the greatest needs of man is the urge to be important. So make people feel important. Let them know that, yeah, you are not competing with them and all of that. Because the more they argued, the more this man wanted to assert his authority that, no, it is not a bad debt. You know, don't argue. People don't like it when you are contentious and they feel like you are competing with them. They will want to show you, right? That's the way it is. It doesn't matter whether they are black or white. I think it's just like that in humans, right? Buddha said, hatred is never ended by hatred, but by love. And a misunderstanding is never ended by an argument, but by tact, diplomacy, conciliation, and a sympathetic desire to see the other person's viewpoints. So many marriages would have been saved if some couples knew this, right? Welcome the disagreement. Remember the slogan, when two partners agree, always agree. One of them is not necessary. If there is some point you haven't thought about, be thankful if it is brought to your attention. Perhaps the disagreement is the opportunity to be corrected before you make a serious mistake. So it is not every disagreement and every argument you try to win. If you calm down and you try to see things through the other person's lens, from their point of view. If you seek to understand rather than to be understood, you may actually save yourself from a great mistake later. Distrust your first instinctive impression. Anytime there's an argument, your instinct will want to immediately react to say, be defensive, right? What is he talking about? Does he think you're stupid? No. Disregard that. Don't react. Don't respond to it. Keep calm and watch out for your first reaction. It may be at your worst, not your best, right? The first reaction sometimes is actually not the best. If you calm down and you don't speak anything in the moment, you may now think with a cool head to see that, oh, I'm actually wrong. So control your temper. You can measure the size of a person by what makes him or her angry. So what do? If you want to control your temper, listen first. Give the other person a chance to talk. Let them finish. Don't resist. Don't cut them. Don't interrupt them. Let them pour everything out. Listen to them. Then number 2, look for areas of agreement. At least you may not agree with everything the person is saying, but there will be some things that you agree with. So point it out. Don't just note it in your head. So, oh, I agree with that. Oh, I think you are right there. And dwell on those points. Then be honest. Look for areas that you can admit your error and say, oh, I actually apologize for my mistakes. Oh, I think I shouldn't have said that. It will help to disarm your opponents and reduce their defensiveness. And then promise to think over your opponent's ideas and study them carefully. And then you mean it. Don't just say it to dismiss them. Mean it. Because the person may be right after all. The person may be opening your eyes to something that you are not even seeing. And then you begin to see it differently. This can apply to any relationship, right? Then thank your opponent sincerely for their interest, because if both of you are arguing about the same thing, it shows that they also have interest in that thing. So if you look at it, there is a common interest for both of you. The person is not your enemy. They may just be saying something in a different way. So if you calm down, you may actually say, so thank you. Thank them for bringing it to your attention. And then postpone your action. Don't be quick to make a decision or to conclude. Postpone it. Go and think about it very well. Oh, is this person actually right? Or am I too defensive? Am I too arrogant? Maybe if we take it this way, it may actually be right. Maybe we shouldn't have argued and all of that. You may see things from another light. I want us to close by remembering what Operaten or Jean-Pierre said. He said, after I was married nearly 50 years, this is what he said. And I quote, my wife and I made a pact long time ago, and we've kept it no matter how angry we've grown with each other. When one yells, the other should listen. Because when two people yell, there is no communication, just noise and bad vibrations. You will argue for 1 hour. At the end of the day, you are drained. You become angry. You've worked yourself up to nothing. It is futile, in vain. You're not listening to the other person is not listening to you. So you're both making noise, you're both yelling. At the end of the day, there is no communication, no understanding of any sort. It is a total waste of time and energy. Right, so don't forget, principle 1 says, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. You cannot win an argument. Even when you think that you have won it, you have actually not won. Because the other person will resent your win, will resent your victory. And of what use is it? Right. Thank you so much for joining me for this review tonight. Don't forget to like this video, share your comments with me, and please subscribe to this channel in case you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. We'll come together on Monday as we review chapter 2 of part 3, which says, a sure way of making enemies and how to avoid it. Until then, be intentional. Bye. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Yes, we are moving. We are moving. We are moving. We are moving. You're welcome.